Dr. Mitnaul, my child is sleeping poorly and we haven't been able to find the answer. What should we be looking out for? All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Dr. Mitnaul Show, where we talk about doing the hardest job in the world, and that's raising virtuous, healthy, and family-connected kids in the age of screens. I'm Dr. Larry Mitnaul, double board certified child and adolescent psychiatrist, and also a father of 7. So I do this. Let's talk about what matters to you. So today, our themes will be DeepSeek and understanding AI and what's going on and the thing that might help you with your parenting in this regard. Also, we're going to get to your question of the day and a family hack, which is how do we share interests together and build stronger connections with one another. And before we get to learning about DeepSeek and AI, remember that no matter how good the artificial intelligence is, it can't generate your wardrobe. And so for that, I love our sponsor, Be Well Collective Apparel. Parenting is stressful enough. And so when I'm not at the office, I like to relax in clothing like this that offers the fit I love and the reminder to just breathe. Learn more by checking out the link in the description box. Now, back to me. All right, families. So you might have heard of DeepSeek. And actually, this was put on my radar by my teen, of all things, right? That it is a new artificial intelligence, kind of like ChatGPT, if you're familiar with that, founded in 2023 and out of a company that's based in China. And so what you need to know is that, you plug in a question, you ask it, and then in almost humanized tones, it replies and responds with answers that you need to know. And so, of course, all of these things sound really, really exciting. Of course, teachers out there, if you're watching, I know it makes you nervous to think about plagiarism and kids having their own original ideas. But obviously, we know there are some virtues to being able to search a tool like this and being able to put it into use and take that information and improve our lives. But there are some really important things that we need to know about this type of technology. One, it is new, right? So anything new, we know it just hasn't been vetted. And so even when people come to my office and ask for tips on how do you coach kids or how do we talk about or what are the things that are helpful for them, time-tested things often are our better and first intervention. So as a parent, I'm going to tell you, my default is often, especially when it comes to my kids, jumping on new technology. Let me learn about it first, especially if there are safety features that I need to know about that help my kids navigate it properly. Now, you won't be surprised to learn that there aren't really parent monitoring tools as of the recording of this video for this that come with DeepSeek. It really is just kind of put out on the platform for individuals to use. And so whether you're 5 or whether you're 15 or whether you're 55, you're all going to get the same product at the end of the day. And so that, as a parent, should make you want to be vigilant around what it is that your kids could be searching and the types of results they could be getting back. So this applies to nearly every technology, but especially to this one. So one is potential data exposure. So because of new technology like this, we have to be cautious as well of the information that our kids share. We often forget that even though we teach our kids to not to talk to strangers, we actually teach them the opposite when it comes to Google searching an answer or a request. And so it's good to remind our kids that actually no matter what device we're using or what app we're using, information that they're giving isn't tailored to them. The person doesn't know them and might not be seeking what's best for them too. And so parental monitoring is the most important way in. Again, when it comes to our kids, it's important in terms of our connection to them that we be their source of knowledge, not because we control all the things and we are the only places of knowledge, but what the internet lacks is wisdom. And so if a child is asking questions about sexuality or about morality or about substance use, it's not going to judge, here is the appropriate context for you, 7.5-year-old, young budding mechanical engineer. It's just going to give, the answer that the algorithm comes out with. And that might not be something that aligns with your values or the things that you want your child diving into. All right, so what are the take-home messages for parents? What do I want you to be able to do and know about DeepSeek? Number one, be sure that you're educating your kids. And again, you're going to look so cool because they're going to say, how did you know about DeepSeek? It just came out last week. I also want you to be aware of the need for parental controls on the devices, especially that might have access to a tool such as that. And that number 3, being sure that you're having regular discussions about the appropriateness of information that you might encounter, and how you test that information is talking to trusted people who love you and care about you and want to see your best. And speaking of parental controls and the need to give boundaries to the deep seeking our children might be doing online, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Bark. If you're looking for a way to safely and securely monitor your child's presence on their phone, as well as get practical advice on parenting in the tech age, check out Bark. I really like them, and our family has used them actually. Our kids even, and some of you might have seen that on social media and some of my social stories as well, of how helpful it has been for us to remain connected together, but also to have up walls, healthy walls around things that otherwise might take down their hearts or get in their minds. And so you definitely want to check them out. So discount code is in the notes below. Now let's get back to the show. All right, so here's your submitted question. Dr. Mitnaul, my child is sleeping poorly and we haven't been able to find the answer. What should we be looking out for? All right. So my number one, there are many things actually that can influence a child's sleep. And so I'm always going to say, it is important that we are ruling out the organic things that can sometimes be going on in the life of a child, right? One of them being, people can have and children can have, sleep disorders. We know that, for those who are watching near daylight savings time, that having that shift does change the circadian rhythm of kids too. And sometimes they can really struggle to get back into their form footing. But in this question, I suspect the parent actually knows there's something afoot. We're doing our nighttime routine, whatever that might be, and I'm still not getting really great sleep, or my child really isn't getting good sleep. One of the biggest culprits of insomnia is actually screen time. You might be surprised to hear that, or maybe you're not surprised to hear that especially in the hours leading up to bedtime, this really plays a significant role. And so in the last several years, you've heard the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatrists make recommendations around not only the length of time that kids are spending tied to these devices, but also how closely they're using those times when it's time to go to bed. It turns out our phones are actually so good and so attractive that they actually can trick the optic nerve into thinking that it is seeing daylight. And so it's important that our kids are having time away from screens to help their bodies actually be regulated by the cycles of day and night. Go figure. And it turns out that the better that kids are able to do that, the healthier their sleep becomes. And so if you're looking for a place to begin, that's the first place I begin. You might be asking yourself, how much time is too much time? Now, I am the person that is going to say, go with your parental gut. If you feel like it's too much, the answer is it's too much. But what studies have shown is that more than 2 hours of screen time in the evening are those kids are more likely to experience sleep issues. And teens who use a device in bed are at a high risk of chronic sleep deprivation. So often, even before I'm doing anything else, before we're even talking about melatonin, nutrition, diet, exercise, this is the number one place that we're beginning in our conversation. And so, parents, what are some practical things you can start doing? Well, one is setting screen curfews, especially if you have older kids who you are allowing to have access to these devices before bed. So at least 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Also, I like screen-free areas of your home, and the bedroom is number one among them, so just don't do it. Certainly, using night mode and blue filters can also help dampen the experience of your brain confusing some of the screens for daylight, and so that can be helpful for some kids. And then getting into like calming activities before bed, so not doing the highly stimulated things. Often those things do involve screens right before going to bed. So all of those things can be really helpful. And hack number one is us, guys. If we can model really great and healthy behaviors around, what we're doing before bedtime, if our kids are up late enough to kind of see what we're doing, but setting aside time that are screenless, especially in the evening, is really, really helpful. So say you're going to do, prayer time with your kids and a story. All right, make sure that there aren't dings, pings going off in your pocket while you are sharing that time with your kids. It also helps to send the message that the priority is resting your brain and us connecting and getting settled in for the night. So let's do it ourselves. All right, team. And our family hack of the episode is working out what are the shared interests that we have together as a family or that you have with your kid. Often when families are disconnected, it's not that they just had one fight and we're no longer talking to each other. We're actually not consistently sharing life together. And the easiest way to do that beyond meals is often actually having similar interests. The hard part is teens pick things that we would never pick. And so as long as they are reasonable things, that's a place actually where we can meet them there. We've all heard the wisdom that, the goal isn't to be your child's best friend. And that is important because kids actually need modeling. They actually need support. They actually need coaching. And so coaches often, are above the player, not the player themselves. And so you're able to see things a little bit more objectively. And that is a better vantage point if you're a parent helping your child reach success. But what's important about that is that doesn't mean we can't join in their interests or shed some of our parental, might and power to be humble and to be alongside what our kids really enjoy. Now, does that mean you will love all the music that they love, or you'll love all the games, or you'll love the art, or you'll love the hobbies that they're most passionate about? No. However, investment in the things that they're interested in will actually provide you a bigger world to talk about the things that matter most to you and to them. And it allows you to maintain a seat at the table of their heart. And that's where we grow our attachment to our kids. So here's your challenge for this week. I want you to think about an interest that your child has. And if you don't know what that interest is, today is the day to get curious about it, to look for clues and evidence, and maybe to offer them some things that, hey, would you like to try this? Or maybe we should go and take a look at this art museum or check out a car show or whatever that might be to kind of gauge their interest. But the goal is to identify what that is and then look for ways that you might be able to encourage that throughout the week. All right, so what do we learn today, kids? That DeepSeek doesn't have to be evil, but as parents, we need to be vigilant about how kids are using AI technology, especially because it doesn't come with parental controls. Being aware of screens and how those things affect the sleep of our teens and our kids, and also how do we find mutual interests that we can kind of hang on to and encourage in our kids, and that'll bring us closer together. Remember, there's no connection like your connection. Don't forget to like, share, and follow us, along with sending us your questions so I can address them on the show below. Super shout out to my son, who's the DJ providing the music for our wonderful show. And as always, my friends, be well.